Today on the Celsius Cookbook, how to amen. Hi guys, it's the Celsius and welcome to a new thing I'm calling the Celsius Cookbook. Today, how to amen. That's Syriac. Thank you so much for the input you gave me last time. Really kind of gave me the confidence to continue making these, and I'm having a lot of fun doing this. I hope you find this interesting. Today I'm going to be showing how I work with amens. This is very personal. Also the things I avoid, the traps, and kind of the different ways you could approach it. I got this written down, by the way. I got a whole script. This means so much to me. I had to write, look at this. Look at all this shit. I have to get through all of this just to explain how to use an amen. But yeah, if you're already comfortable with a DAW, you have some basic knowledge, you know how to use a sample, then yeah, let's do it. Now today we're going to cover the following. Why the amen? How to correctly use sample packs, very important. Sourcing your amens, like finding the good ones. Let's get to it. Why the amen? Now, have you ever wondered why this one sample from a random like 1969 record has become kind of the iconic defining breakbeat that has technically shaped the sound of electronic music for the next 30 years? That's a very valid question, and there is a really good documentary on this. I'll put the link on in the thing, and you can go and see that. So watch it at the end, not now. Now you watch this. I think one of the reasons about why the amen is so important is the fact that it's so distinctive. It has kind of a huge amount of variations in there. You've got nice heavy kicks, nice heavy snares, different variations of the snares. You've got ghost snares, you've got amazing hats, you've got that fantastic... It's got lots of space and it's very dynamic, and you can speed it up very nicely. It's incredibly groovy as well. There's like a fantastic groove in it. Chapter 2, how to use commercial sample packs. This is how you do it. Sourcing the amen. Now here's a very interesting point. You see, the thing is, the original amen is kind of, it's not very compressed, it's not very loud, it's not very, but there is a lot of range. As far as I'm concerned, I usually get my amens like a fucking thug. Like, I just rip them off vinyls, tapes, as long as basically you respect kind of the organic nature of the amen, in the sense that it should be kind of the longest possible original loop you can find. Like, you'll oftentimes find the whole break, or like half the break in a sample of a record. For me, that's good enough. I'm like, okay, well, it has, and it does have kind of, obviously it's already been transformed a bit, it's probably been compressed, it's been EQ'd and stuff, it has like its own sound, that's fine. It's just, don't sample, like, I wouldn't recommend using a pre-programmed amen. Here's a couple of good examples. Now see, that's a good amen. That's a good amen. You could use this, or kind of like that one, because it's I don't know, I got it from a cassette tape somewhere. And here's a couple of terrible examples.
They're fucking minging.
Oh my god. Look at that.
Fuck me.
Unbelievable.
Unless you're making breakcore and you're fucking Atari Teenage Riot, which... But unless, you know... But come on, look at this shit. It's fucking disgusting. So it's very important to do this. Respect the organic nature. It doesn't matter where it comes from. I have terrible 8-bit, awful sounding fucking amens that are great for whatever reason, because they sound raw and organic and shit. And I think that's kind of part of the appeal, but they're not pre-programmed. And some people have made that terrible mistake. Little wonder then, little wonder, you little... Very disappointing, David. You are a god, but I guess even gods sin. Fuck, that was deep. Building the brake. Personally, I'm what I consider to be a disciple of the Photech school. So yeah, the precision that goes into building a brake is tremendously important, and especially, as you will see and I'll explain, the micro pauses between the different cuts of snares and drums and the way the ghost snares follow. Tremendously important to add like an extra layer of dynamics to the pace of and the feel of the brake. Sounds abstract, I'll show you in a minute. If you want to learn from the master, I could highly recommend this. The common traps I would avoid is what I call the bongo effect, which is the second trap, which is a huge problem, and let's talk about this. It's the two-step jungle, I guess you could call it. Now, the problem with that is you basically kill the amen and you just turn it into a very rigid two-step beat, and actually this is kind of what gave birth to the like 97, 98 kind of Ronnie size. I haven't got anything against liquid drum and bass, it's just it kind of goes against every single principle of jungle, so it's obviously something you want to be aware of, because it's very tempting to go in that very familiar kind of 1-2, 1-2 thing. But it's also insanely boring. Just kind of a very generic two-step type of beat, which is just kick, drum, snare, and of course, seeing how simple it is, it's incredibly accessible, so it became very popular very fast, and the problem with that is it completely overshadowed the kind of jungle style, especially like maybe the early 2000s. So there's nothing wrong with liquid drum and bass, it's just not my cup of tea. Let's try and build a beat, and I'll show you some of my secrets and the way I work. I've provided a sample pack with, I've provided like a free giveaway type deal thing with all the samples I'm going to use, or feel free to download it. I cannot give any guarantees as to the copyright, this is just as far as I'm concerned for training purposes, so yeah, don't sue me if anything goes wrong and you try to release it, whatever. This is just like for fun, okay? Like just, okay, let's do it. I'm going to start off with a very simple bass line, and then I'm going to show you how I work to edit breaks, and of course this applies to the amen, but then obviously it applies to any kind of break beats. This is just my workflow on Renoise. I mean, I guess kind of the same applies to any DAW, it's just I'm going to show you how I do it on Renoise. So this is a very simple dub kind of bass line. And it's just a simple bass, right? Okay, and this is what I built with it. So I'm just going to show you the end product first. So we do have some amens in there. We have about 5 different breaks. So how do you get to this? So the way you get to kind of arranging breaks like that is basically in Renoise you set your notes here. Let's start with a simple bass line. Got the metronome on. Okay, what do I do? So, and then. Okay, so now I've got my notes, I got my basic bass line, right? Very nice. Okay, let's get to the breaks. Excellent skills, bruh. Now I'm just gonna get my amen. It's gonna be one of the amens in the good amens folder. If there's a folder called good amens, you go in there, that's where you get all your good shit. I'm gonna create a new track, and I'm gonna call it amens. And I'm gonna load up a nice clean amen. Not that one. That's the original. Nah. Okay, I'm gonna keep it very simple. I'm gonna keep this incredibly simple, right? So I'm just gonna take the first loop. I'm just gonna take the first loop of the amen. There you go. I'm gonna basically beat sync it to 16, which means, okay, it's now at 106 BPM. I can just loop it, and this just amounts to just basically making a BPM synchronized loop, and then just looping it in your DAW. It would be like just a block, a block, a block, a block. It would be matched with the BPM. Nice. Okay. Very simple. Okay, so this is where the fun begins. I guess what I usually do is I'll just put the break next to the bass line, because I just like to have the kind of visual representation of how it works together. So now this is where the fun happens. First thing I like to do, I've got my nice clean amen. So now this is where it gets interesting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop, and so I've got my loop. And so this is going to loop the first 16 lines. You may see there's like this highlighted here, highlighted 16 lines. So it's just going to loop over this. Okay. And then I get to add like different notes. So what I do is I'm going to retrig, for example, the amen. Nice. And then I'm like, okay, well, what I can do on the renoise, I can do this, blip, which adds another column in which I can add more notes. So it's like, so for example, I could add another, I could re-trigger the sample here, which sounds shit, but the idea is that you could use that later on. Okay, so now what's happening is quite interesting. You've got the sample playing here, it's been re-triggered here again, so sample starts back at the beginning, and then when you reach here, you have another instance of the sample playing on top of this. So you have kind of a double sandwich of breakbeats. Okay, and you can see it here. Yeah, man. Old school. Okay. Now, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start playing with different sections. I'm going to offset the sample, and I'm going to trigger different sections of the sample, obviously, because that's where the fun begins. That's when the jungleistic experience, or rather the journey of jungle begins, is when I'm going to slice, take a slice of the sample, which in this instance is the instruction S for slice, and 40 being this position here, 40, which aligns to the snare. So what's going to happen is, when I'm going to play this now with S40 here, so it's going to re-trig the sample, it's going to re-trig the snare here. And interesting, okay. So we have a second snare, it's COO. This is a hexadecimal, by the way. So we have we have a different snare, it's C0. So it's nice because we get that kind of double, we get to choose between two slightly sounding snares. Obviously in the second loop of the amen there's more to choose from, but we're just going to use this for now. And then it's just a question of, I just take this, I copy it, and then I just paste it. And then I just play around with it. Let's have a look. And the thing that's cool as well that's fun, is reverse. So what you do is you put, with re-noise it's B, you just put a B for backwards, I guess, and then it does that. Yeah, we used that a lot back in the day. And so yeah, using reverse is fun. You could use it pretty much on anything. You could use that, for example, if you place a B, a backwards instruction directly after the snare, what's going to happen is it's going to play the snare, and then it's going to go right back. Okay, so that's the point. That's the backward thing, right? Okay, then we have obviously pitch up and pitch down instructions, that kind of thing. Predictably, the down is D, so it would be like D, and then the value that goes here, this is a hexadecimal double column value, which means you can go from 00 to FF, FF being, I think, the obviously equivalent of 255, the maximum amount, so if I go 1, 2, 3, it's going to go and conversely, U for up. So that's kind of shit, but the thing is, you get the idea. Of course, if I put it at the beginning of the sample, then it's going to fuck up the rest of the break. It can be useful. I am doing this at 158 BPM, which is a completely stupid BPM for jungle. If you want to do, I mean, jungle, you would have to be like, yeah, I don't know, something like this. I mean, for me, honestly, my jungle tracks are more like 100. My jungle tracks are more usually around 185 BPM, just to give you an idea. But anyway, this is, yeah, let's just do this at 150, nice and slow, 999. I'm not doing speedcore fucking jungle today, so let's do it. Now, the C instruction is very useful. Again, re-noise, if you could tell me why I get this 7F thing everywhere, every time I put a note, I would highly appreciate it. This is what it should look like, okay? So there's no, like, this 7F thing. It's very confusing, it's useless. I mean, it's just a volume instruction. Okay, now if I put a C instruction, the C is just cut. So what it does is, predictably, it's just gonna cut the note. So if I put a C here and a C1, the lower the number, the bigger the cut. So like, done. Now if I put a C, like F, it doesn't cut anything, and here it's going to cut, but there's going to be like a longer, it's going to be a longer cut. So basically this is more extreme. So for example, if I do this, and then I think this might be a way of demonstrating it, just to put a bunch of these. So we have a bunch of like base of just triggering the sample with a C1. As you can see, it's extremely short, right? In fact, let me just do this a bunch more so you can really get the idea. Okay, now if I do this, if I increase the value here to 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, okay. See? So like the thing is that the cuts get bigger and bigger. Which, again, this is all useful stuff in your toolkit. You can, and it might seem basic, but this is, I mean, intensely controls that. Okay, getting back to where we were. So now it's more about, this is your basic toolkit. Of course you can, you know, there's many more things. You can time stretch stuff and whatever, you can do all kinds of stuff, but for me, with this, just these few tools, you could do something very nice. You could do some proper like aiming work with this, just as simple as it is. So now it's just a question of just having fun with it. And then I'm going to use the second snare, so that one is at, I believe, SA. Nope. There it is. Okay. Oh, yeah! And then you could do the same. You could add an extra column here for instructions. So for example, this snare, I could then combine the sample, so the slice 40 instruction on this sample with the cut instruction. So like I could be like, so the snare itself is like tiny cut on the snare. too for example, this is way too much. Can't even hear it. So I was like, okay. So, and then we can, let's just reverse this bit. Could be fun. Get excited. Let's accelerate it a bit. Add a bit of compression. Let's go. I'm going to add another one, and then I'm just going to pitch this up. Sometimes I do this. Just whatever. Up, down, literally any value. Okay, this is turning into very experimental music, but you get the idea. Okay. Now I'm just going to try and make something decent here. So I'm just gonna, this is probably gonna be fast forward this bit. Now head movements are very important, you have to groove with it. This is something I've been told I do a lot, I'm just like... This is me making music, the Celsius. This is what I look like when I make music. Now, one thing I like doing, and this is very important, is to add a micro cut before a snare or bass drum. Because what that does is it creates a tiny silence, just a fraction of a silence, which then allows your snare or bass drum or whatever it is that follows to, you know, just pack in more dynamic. And of course, whoops. So this is not a good example, but let me give you a good example. So for example, here I have my sample here, and then here I'm just going to add a C3 cut instruction before the snare. And again, this is just to add a little bit of, just little cut, little dynamic punch. Then obviously the amount depends on the speed, and it depends on what you want in terms of sound. Okay, so I've got like a pattern now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've got my 16-line loop here. I'm just going to copy paste this, and then so now I'm going to work on the rest of the pattern. And what I like to do is I like to use the first 16 lines as a base, and then what I like to do is to then play with the same global structure of this first 16 lines on from 16 to 32, which is the next section. Except then, of course, I can just do different types of things with it, just mess around with it more. Rubbish. Achieving nothing. Let's make it good, guys. Oh, I know. I know. Okay, let's do this. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually mapping in my head what's going to happen at the end of this loop. But this is what I was saying before about how important it is to have like a an idea of what you're doing before you actually do it. And I think practice just gets you to that point where you can anticipate pretty much everything you do before it even exists. So it's good to be able to map it inside your brain. Rubbish. So what I'm doing here is I'm alternating between I've got 3 of these snares, and then I've got the second snare, which is the SC section sample slice. There you go. And that one has a different flavor, like it's got a different sound, but it's also got different like hats behind it, so. And yeah. Of course the actual hat section after S40 is quite nice. Yeah. S. Okay, then we're going to resolve it down to a snare. And then be like, check, check. Dude, come on, give me some fucking C5s. Boom, boom. Boom, snare. Nah. Okay, let's try this. Boom, boom, kick. Okay. Okay. Check. Good. Clean. See, this is what I meant about the microcut. This is, you see how without this microcut at the end of the loop, actually sounds cool, but but if I add a C4 here, it's just going to add a little bit of slight. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's good. So like from the top, from TOP selector. Drinking a coffee, selector, from the top. Okay, so now we have half a pattern, guys. Woo! Okay, now 3464. This is gonna take 100,000 hours. It's been 32 minutes. I'm not sure you guys signed up for this. I'm sorry, this takes forever. Okay. One thing I didn't explain, re-triggers. Let's do a re-trigger. Okay. So a retrigger is just the R command with a number. Again, smaller the number, the higher the retrigger is going to be. So like, for example, if I put R1s, then you're immediately going to see the thing. Yeah. This isn't a square pusher, so I'm not going to do this. We're just going to do like an R3, which is a nice kind of retrigger number. There you go. If you feel it's a little bit messy with the overspill to the next snare, you could put like a C instruction here and then kind of clip it. Yeah. Because what happens is it retrigs and then it just clips the end of the retrig, but it's like, it doesn't sound that good with this one. Yeah. I don't feel like it changes anything, but whatever. You get the point. Okay. Okay, so we've essentially made one pattern, and now we get to have fun with it. I like to, now let's just speed it up to a decent speed, and then just play around, another pattern. Baby. So what I did there was I selected, which I'm sorry I went a bit too fast there, I selected an entire section of the pattern, so like all of this. So this has all my stuff already redone, and then what I did was I just took this and I just pasted it a bunch of times. So really what you get is a repeat of the section you've already pre-programmed in a way. And then that's kind of how you, at least in my workflow, like that's how it gets more and more random, is that I'll take this and I'll just incrementally add more kind of abstractness and kind of mess with it basically. And then I'll be like, okay, just reverse this one and fucking shit, okay, maybe this one. No, that wasn't a B. And then I'll just like, whatever, here I'll just put these, boom, 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 and then cut it. Now the thing is you have to respect the main points, which are kind of the start, the middle. Like I like to give an overarching structure, so like for example I know that I'll get a kick on line 32, which I didn't, but it's just, for the listener, like, it has to make sense, because otherwise it's like the what I call the bongo syndrome, which is just like let me show you the bongo syndrome. This is the worst thing you can do. Like, I mean, like as far as I'm concerned, I hate it when people do this. Like, it's just like I mean, so many jungle songs. It's just, especially for, you know, I don't know, some producers. It's just like. No. See, the problem with that is you just completely kill the groove of it. The way I build it is focused on the groove, and then I kind of mess with the groove progressively. Yeah, this is a bit too extreme. There you go, and then if you push it a bit further. And I guess that's how you get to... Now if you look at this now, you'll see that it's the same principle. You have all these different instructions, down, slice, retrigger here, another slice, you've got different like offsets, I mean slices again, down, up, blah blah blah. It's the same principle, except on this track I actually use several different breakbeats. So I have one break for a beautiful thing, just a bunch of different breaks basically. same thing, different brakes. Oh man, if I slow it down. Right, okay, so that's how you do it, I guess. That's how I do it. Again, there is no like set formula. So yeah, just download the thing, give it a shot. If you like it, please like and subscribe. I will say it this time, I want to say a huge thanks to Prospect. It's amazing to be on this channel and on this app. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's an amazing app from Prospect you should be downloading right now, because you have premium content on there. It's really, really good stuff. I can highly recommend this. Also, if you have any ideas for the next episodes of the Celsius Cookbook or anything else we could be doing, and if you guys are inspired to experiment, to make brakes, or if you come up with something interesting, just feel free to post it in the comments. We'd love to listen. I'd love to listen to what you make from this. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, I'll gladly address them, talk about them, let me know. Anyway, it's been awesome, a lot of fun. Thank you very much. See you soon.